Great.
All right. Welcome everyone again to another segment of the small print of the law of attraction. Last week we started into a new segment, a new chapter, the equation of enough. The essence being that there might just be a code to begin to understand the enough that is coded in the Hebrew Torah, in the language of the Bible. So we're going to talk more about that today. So let's jump in, Maha. It's all you. Anything
Yeah.
else you want to say about a
So,
summary?
yeah, the equation of enough, I can tell you how it works for me. Basically, the first word of the Hebrew Torah hints to creation connected to the number six. So 6 days of creation, 6 stages by which our ego attempts to make something happen. There are creations that are more important than others in the way that they affect consciousness. For example, fear. Fear seems to be an inexhaustible subject. It's like this whack-a-mole, game where you handle a little fury and there's another one popping its nose from another nose, and you handle that one, and boom, there's another one popping up, and on and on and on. And there seems to be no end. And parallel to that, we know that the Buddha, Four Noble Truths, lay out a very strong foundation by starting with life is suffering, truth number one, the cause of suffering and our dissatisfaction is desire. And number three, there is an end to suffering. Number four, there's a path to the end. Okay. The part that is generally not hard, like people would hear life is suffering, everybody agrees. Would hear the cause of suffering is craving, desire, attachment. Yeah, okay, I can go there. But the part about there's an end, that's what has not landed fully. It's as if we're stuck into a position of being a perpetual seeker with no sight in view of a place in the mind where we can withhold and sustain coherence and joy and bliss and trust. Sooner or later, we go back to fear. And that's the part that I find so strong in having a code, in having an equation of enough, is that when we understand and accept the depth, and that's why we're spending time in this couple of courses, to really understand why we're speaking of creation in 6 days, how it is based, how elemental it is based, so that there would be no yes but in the understanding that we can understand a specific creation. And those that we're going to look at more in depth in discourses, victimhood, fear, those are big deals. And understanding them to their depth is what Golden XPR does. And it's based on the formula: one, understand; two, choose peace. So basically, when I cannot sustain peace, guilty as charged, there is something I do not understand. So understand, choose peace, then empowering the now is not an issue. Once you're in peace, you always make the right decision. There's no question about it. The trick is to not decide while in the place of no peace. So this is calling to depth. And on that, I choose to acknowledge each and every one of us for the courage it takes to go so deep to, I'm very interested in gold plunge, and that's quite difficult for the ego to do. But there is a kind of plunge that is even harder, and that's a shadow plunge. And so, thank you for being here today. Thank you for being willing to go where we have not gone before. And as spiritually incorrect as it may be, yes, this is the Hebrew Bible. So, with no further ado, and maybe comments, question, what touched you in what I'm saying? What question might you have?
I love the simplicity that is supported by the complexity, and the XPR formula is truly a mode of operating that is worth understanding.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, Sarah.
I'll share. I loved how you said the shadow plunge is much more difficult than the cold plunge because I go to Barton Springs, and it hasn't been open because there's something that they need to do. So I went to the Barking Springs, and man, when I make the decision to give my will over, which is when I go into the water and I splash it over me, it feels like it's a ceremonial way to say, bring it on. And if I can do this, and the shadow part, sorry, I'm going on, but almost done. The shadow part is it won't last forever, so it's worth plunging into so you can get to the other side.
Amen. Thank you so much, Sarah. Lovely. Okay, so let's this is where we stopped. So last week, Danielle helped us to understand about how in the beginning covers both ways to understand this crucial word of the Torah, and how English may actually offer what Ken Wilber talks about, which, and a lot of people into psychedelics also talk about the demand for a new language to address the reality we can't quite name at this time. And I would say in the parity of English and Hebrew, we may have a solution as exemplified by in the beginning. Okay? So this is a created six shape. And Michael, maybe you would take us to this page, please.
Sure. Begins with 6 capitalized letters in Roman script, which are BRASYT. And that will be covered later in terms of the evolution from the Hebrew letters to the Roman alphabet. But then it goes on to say Barashit, which is those 6 letters, bara, Elohim, et hashemayim, va'et haaretz. That's the pronunciation, or close to the pronunciation in Hebrew of the first line of the Torah. And the translating, according to XPR, or the poetic transmission, is in the beginning. God created the heavens and the earth. Genesis 1:1. The B map. Each numbered cell contains the Hebrew words, their pronunciation, and their meaning. Beginning with 0/7. This is the word Brasyt. Traditionally, it's transmitted as Bay Rashit. A Golden XPR speaks it as Barashit. But it says here that those letters are the evolution in Roman script of the 6 letters of the Torah's first word. It can be read as Barashit, which means created 6, or it can be read as Bereshit, which transmits as in the beginning. Number 1, bara. This is translated as created. Elohim, which is for the God name that says, let there be light, and saw that there was light. As such, it is the power of synchronicity. Number 3, et, for a grammatical particle in front of direct defined objects. The word et is untranslated in the Bible. It doesn't have a translation. Number 4, hashemayim, which is translated as the heavens. Number 5, va'et, which is translated as and. Again, it's also got that et, which is untranslated. And finally, haaretz, which is translated as the earth. And this is really the core of how we will be transmitting and translating and exploring consciousness.
Beauty. Thank you, Michael.